Hello everyone, welcome to our Fisheries Board Exam Review. In this video we are going to answer and discuss some board exam review questions under the area of aquatic resources and ecology. Topic: Issues and advances in AREM. Question number 1. This behavior is quite harmful to local ecosystems since it destroys the habitat of a huge variety of species. Note, this can be done with human intervention. A. Destruction of habitat. B. Destruction of ecological habitat. C. Destruction of natural habitat. D. Destruction of aquatic habitat. The answer is C. Destruction of natural habitat. Habitat destruction, defined as the elimination or alteration of the conditions necessary for animals and plants to survive, not only impacts individual species but the health of the global ecosystem. It is one of the biggest threats facing plants and animal species throughout the world. The loss of habitat has far-reaching impacts on the planet's ability to sustain life. Question number 2. The biggest impacts are made on the environment by blank. A. The migration of organisms. B. Predation. C. Human interference. D. Competition. The answer is C. Human interference. Human activities affecting aquatic ecosystems are more likely to disrupt natural patterns and processes because species do not have the ability to adapt to the rapid changes to their environment that can occur. Question number 3. It is a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. A. Monsoon. B. Global warming. C. Climate emergency. D. Climate change. The answer is D. Climate change. Climate change is the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period, between 1850 and 1900, due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat-trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere. The term is frequently used interchangeably with the term climate change, though the latter refers to both human and naturally produced warming and the effects it has on our planet. It is most commonly measured as the average increase in Earth's global surface temperature. Question number 4. Which of the following gases contribute to climate change? A. Carbon dioxide. B. Methane. C. Fluorinated gases. D. Only A and B. E. Only B and C. F. A, B and C. The answer is F, A, B and C. Carbon dioxide, CO2. Carbon dioxide enters the atmosphere when fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas are burned. Carbon dioxide is also released when trees and other plants are burned or cut down and through manufacturing cement. Carbon dioxide made up 81% of man-made greenhouse gas emissions from the United States in 2018 according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Methane, CH4. Methane is released from fossil fuels, natural gas in particular, agriculture, cow farts and manure, and landfills. Methane made up 10% of greenhouse gases in the US in 2018. Fluorinated gases. Fluorinated gases are hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluoride, and nitrogen trifluoride. They are man-made gases commonly used in refrigerants used for cooling air conditioners and refrigerators. These gases have a high global warming potential and make up 3% of greenhouse gases emitted in the United States according to the EPA. Question number 5. This is an environmental problem that can kill wildlife and also contributes to climate change. Although necessary for the source of energy in every developed and developing countries today, it comes with dire environmental problems. A. Garbage. B. Illegal dumping. C. Chemicals. D. Oil spills. The answer is D. Oil spills. Oceans are polluted by oil on a daily basis from oil spills, routine shipping, runoffs and dumping. Oil spills make up about 12% of the oil that enters the ocean. The rest come from shipping travel, drains and dumping. Oil cannot dissolve in water and forms a thick sludge in the water. This suffocates fish, gets caught in the feathers of marine birds, stopping them from flying, and blocks light from photosynthetic aquatic plants. Question number 6. It is the accumulation of plastic objects and particles in the Earth's environment that adversely affects humans, wildlife, and their habitat. A. Plastic pollution. B. Plastic waste. C. Garbage. D. Illegal dumping. The answer is A. Plastic pollution. Plastic pollution is a major environmental problem. Plastic comes from fossil fuels, which needs to be phased out, so using less plastic is important. But ultimately solving the problem of plastic pollution may come down to improving waste management technology and creating a more circular economy for plastics. Question number 7. IUU means A. Illegal, unauthorized, and unregulated fishing. B. Intercepted, unreported and uncompromised fishing. C. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. D. Imminent, unilateral, and universal fishing. The answer is C. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. IUU fishing is a global problem that threatens ocean ecosystems and sustainable fisheries. It also threatens our economic security and the natural resources that are critical to global food security, and it puts law-abiding fishermen and seafood producers in the United States and abroad at a disadvantage. Question number 8. Is an oceanography instrument that is also called sonde. This may be incorporated into an array of Niskin bottles referred to as a carousel or rosette. The sampling bottles close at predefined depths, triggered either manually or by a computer, and the water samples may subsequently be analyzed further for biological and chemical parameters. A. CTD, B. Netsonde. C. Nansen bottle. D. ART. The answer is A. CTD. The instrument, CTD, or sonde, was developed by the Central Construction Bureau of Hydrometeorological Instrument Construction, CCBHI, and is designed to measure temperature, conductivity, electroconductivity, salinity, hydrostatic pressure, and depth of the ocean. Question number 9. The first ever mass bleaching event in the Philippines was reported in 1998 to 1999. It began at A. Honda Bay, B. Batangas, off Luzon, C. Carigara Bay, D. Lincoln Gulf. The answer is B. Batangas, off Luzon. Due to coral bleaching and large geographic scale and almost instantaneous time frame, the University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute decided to harness the power of citizen science to assess the extent and severity of subsequent bleaching events. Question number 10. To address the alarming dwindling rate of loss of biodiversity rich floral and faunal species in the country, the National Academy for Science and Technology has launched a plan aimed to profitably harness the country's aquatic resources through a viable fisheries industry enhanced by R&D interventions. What is the name of that plan? A. MDG, B. NFFTC Strategic Plan, C. Strategic Plan 2020, D. NAST Intervention Plan. The answer is C. Strategic Plan 2020. The plan includes academe, researchers, scientists, and government agencies across the country to share and profile research with particular focus on the applications of science and technology for sustainability, resilience, and recovery. Question number 11. A way of identifying organisms in which one simply uses the naked eyes to observe the gross morphological features of an organism to identify and classify them in terms of color, shapes of leaves, manner of branching and the like. A. Cell structure, B. External structure, C. Orthodox taxonomy, D. Chemical constitution. The answer is B. External structure. Aquatic organisms come in a diverse array of forms, many with special modifications. The shape, size, and structure of body parts permit different fishes to live in different environments. Question number 12. A type of classifying organisms which is based on ancestral consideration or on the points at which different groups have diverged from one another. This type of classification uses a cladogram. A. Orthodox taxonomy. B. Numerical classification. C. Cladistic. D. Cell structure. The answer is C. Cladistic. Organisms are typically grouped by how closely related they are, and thus, cladistics can be used to trace ancestry back to shared common ancestors and the evolution of various characteristics. Question number 13. The naming and describing new plant species are governed by A. Taxonomic hierarchy. B. Code of botanical nomenclature. C. Code for floral nomenclature. D. Botanical Coding International. The answer is B. Code of botanical nomenclature. The code is based on a two-name, binomial, system developed by the famous botanist Linnaeus. Each plant is given a first name and last name, generally based in Latin, that is unique to each species. Question number 14. Refers to species that are facing extremely high risk of extinction in the wild in the immediate future. A. Critically endangered species. B. Endangered species. C. Threatened species. D. Vulnerable species. The answer is a critically endangered species. For an animal to be added to the category, it must meet any of the following criteria regarding population or habitat decline: rapid population reduction, geographic reduction, dangerous low number of adults, dangerously low overall population size, expected rapid decline. Question number 15. Refers to species or subspecies that are not critically endangered but whose survival in the wild is unlikely if the causative factors continue. A. Critically endangered species. B. Endangered species. C. Threatened species. D. Vulnerable species. The answer is B. Endangered species. Species become endangered for two main reasons: loss of habitat and loss of genetic variation. Question number 16. Refers to species or subspecies that are not critically endangered nor endangered but is under threat from adverse factors throughout its range. A. Critically endangered species. B. Endangered species. C. Threatened species. D. Vulnerable species. The answer is D. Vulnerable species. The maintenance of biodiversity may impact our survival as a species. There are also potential economic benefits in maintaining wildlife and plant populations. Vulnerable species require active intervention to remove or mitigate the unfavorable circumstances that place them under threat in order to maintain healthy ecosystems and prevent the further extinction of species. Question number 17. A general term to denote species or subspecies that is critically endangered, vulnerable or other accepted categories of wildlife whose populations are at risk of extinction. A. Critically endangered species. B. Endangered species. C. Threatened species. D. Vulnerable species. The answer is C. Threatened species. As human activities and impact extend, habitat destruction becomes an increasing threat to the continued existence of the species that were dependent on these habitats for survival. In addition, practices such as the overharvesting of fish and pollution can place species at risk. Question number 18. Defined as a system capable of domesticating coastal fisheries resources, aims to maintain, monitor, and manage the life history of highly valued fish species. A. Artificial habitat enhancement. B. Artificial habitat. C. Sea farming. D. Sea ranching. The answer is D. Sea ranching. Fish that are commercially important and need replenishment are reared in a controlled laboratory environment, and let into the sea when they are of a certain size. Question number 19. Primary production in the ocean is measured by using blank method. This measures the amount of oxygen consumed and produced in order to compute the rate of phytoplankton respiration and photosynthesis. A. CO2 method. B. Light and dark bottle method. C. Radioisotope method. D. Dry and wet bulb. The answer is B. Light and dark bottle method. Way of measuring primary production by comparing before and after concentrations of dissolved oxygen. Bottles containing seawater samples with phytoplankton are incubated for a predetermined period of time under light and dark conditions. Question number 20. One of the following is not among those covered by the Oil Pollution Compensation Act of 2007. A. Mechanism for prevention, mitigation, and control of oil pollution. B. Creation of Oil Pollution Management Fund. C. Oil cleanup operations by the Philippine Coast Guard. D. Prosecute offending parties in an oil spill incident. The answer is D. Prosecute offending parties in an oil spill incident. Oil Pollution Compensation Act of 2007 provides for the adoption of internationally accepted measures which impose strict liability for oil pollution damage in order to protect Philippines' marine wealth in its archipelagic waters, territorial sea, and exclusive economic zones. That's all for the video. Thanks for watching.